Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. Today we are going to make a barbecue bean chili. We're going to make a cornbread to go alongside that. I'll call it twice the cornbread because it not only has cornmeal but corn. And then for dessert we're going to make a chocolate beggar's purse. All these recipes are so easy to do, and anybody, irregardless of your level of cooking skill, can do this. We're going to get started with the cornbread. I have my oven preheated to 425 degrees, and I have an 8 by 8 inch pan, glass Pyrex baking pan that I've sprayed with non-stick cooking spray. In this bowl, I have 1 cup of sour cream. I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. I like to cook with unsalted butter. That way I can control the salt. Okay, we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of just regular neutral canola oil. We're going to add a couple of eggs that we are going to lightly beat before. I like to beat my eggs before I put them into whatever I'm mixing. I think you get a little bit more of an even distribution when you do that. So I like to just put them in a separate little bowl and give them a little whisk before I add it to my ingredients. I love cornbread, and you know, I live in the South, and I tend to like sweet cornbread, but you can make, you know, whatever kind of cornbread you like to make. Now, I'm gonna whisk all that together, just a little bit here. Now, here is the extra corn. I have here this is a can of corn because I didn't have any frozen corn, and I've got the whole can drained. I don't need the whole can, I only need a cup. So the rest of it I'm just gonna add to my chili because corn goes in chili. Let me show you this little chopper thing. I found this on Amazon, and I'm telling you, I love this little thing. It's just a manual little chopper. It comes with a little blade. Works great on any small task. That's about a cup. I'll just put the rest of that in the chili. What you do is you just put your ingredient in there, and then you just pull the little string, and it chops up whatever it is that you need chopped. I love this little thing. It's so handy. And then you just pop this right in the dishwasher when you're done. You can chop garlic, you can chop an onion, anything that you need chopped, you can do. This particular one wasn't very expensive. It's like $8 or something like that on Amazon. But just look up a manual food chopper. I don't even know the brand of this. I have one at home too that I just love. I use it all the time. Now I'm going to stir that up. You want to kind of chop that corn a little bit so that it disperses a little further in the cornbread. Now, let's get our dry ingredients together. I have in this bowl a cup of cornmeal. Now, I'm not using cornbread mix. They're different. If you only have cornbread mix, you will want to leave out the baking soda and the baking powder. But I just have cornmeal, and then I have 1 cup of flour. I have some baking soda and some baking powder and some salt. And here's the ingredient that is completely optional. Again, I live in the South. I like sweet cornbread. So I'm going to add a little tiny bit of sugar, and I'm going to whisk this together with my this is a Danish dough hook. I love this little thing for this type of ingredients. All right. Now I'm going to add my wet ingredients to my dry. Getting all of that out of there. I love cornbread. Absolutely love it. It is so good. And so, it goes with anything, I think. Let me get this out of my way here. Let's get this in the sink. Out of the way. And then we'll stir this. Now, depending on the humidity where you live, you may need a little more liquid, just depends. I find drier climates tend to soak that liquid up, whereas if you're in a a very moist, wet place, or if it's raining outside and the air has more humidity, you probably need a little less. But I think this is good. Oh, it smells so good. I love cornbread. Now, I'm going to bake mine in an 8 by 8 inch pan. But if you wanted to, you could bake this in individual muffin cups. Whatever you want to do is fine. We want to put that in our baking dish. This is a moist, delicious cornbread. Get all that out of there. I had someone ask me one time why I don't scrape the sides of my bowls. Well, honestly, if I'm at home, I do. Here, it's just a little different because I've got so much going on and I'm on a time constraint, but I do try to do that as much as I can. But sometimes I'm just in a hurry because the clock says hurry. When you've got cameras on you, it's a little bit different. All right. So I'm going to put this in I'm going to smooth that out just a dot. Let me see if I have my little, let's go over here to my drawers. I need to show you all one day what's behind the scenes here. This is a little big, but it'll work. I love these offset spatulas for tasks just like this. It'd be hard to get a knife down in there, but if you've got the offset spatula that has this little indent there, you can get right down in whatever it is that you want to smooth out. Cakes or batters such as this. I'm going to pop this in a 425-degree oven for about 25 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. Now, we're going to get started on our chili. I have here 1 pound or so, you do as much as you like, of ground beef. I'm using a leaner ground beef, and I want to brown this up. Just let that kind of brown up a little bit. I'm using an enamel-coated cast iron. This particular one is Lodge. I love them, but you don't have to do that. If you don't want to use that, you don't have to. I'm going to use I'm going to cut up an onion while that starts browning, because you need onion in chili. In my opinion, you need onion in most soups and stews and all that kind of thing. One of my favorite soups, which I can't remember if I've made that on here with you or not, is French onion soup. I love good French onion soup, and I could make a meal out of just the soup. And I actually eat mine with no bread, no croutons or bread in mine now, because I do try to eat as low carb as I possibly can most of the time. Just want to dice this up into a, rough dice. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Let's see where we are on our beef. All righty, I'm just going to let this brown up. I'm going to take a quick break, clean up, get my dishes in the sink. When I come back, we will finish up with the chili, and we will start on our chocolate beggar purses. I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, now our beef is browned. Just going to add my onion to the pot. I'm going to stir that in. Now, I did not drain mine because my beef was very lean, but if you have a fattier type of beef, you will want to drain any excess fat out. You don't want it overloaded with fat. A little bit's good though. That's flavor. All right. Golden rule, you know, spices go in before you add any liquid at all. That was just some salt and pepper. This is a couple of tablespoons of chili powder and a little bit of red pepper flakes because I like spicy. If you don't want it spicy, you can eliminate the red pepper flakes or reduce the amount. I put probably about 1/4 of a tablespoon or so, or teaspoon, excuse me, in there. I like to stir that around, pick up any onions that I knock out, and kind of let that, go for not long, just about 30 seconds or so. I'm going to add that corn. Now, my original recipe doesn't call for the corn, but I have it. I don't want to waste it, so I'm going to put it in there. I am going to add some brown sugar because this is a barbecue chili. A little bit of water, about a cup. Then we're going to just add some canned products. I mean, it couldn't be any easier. This is one of those you could brown your beef and then put everything in your crock pot and let it simmer all day if you wanted to, and it would be ready for you when you come home. Or you can do what I'm doing and just, put it in your pot and let it simmer. Let me get a little, tiny little spatula here, rubber spatula, get all of that stuff out. That was just 1 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. I'm going to do 1 big can and 1 little can of just prepared canned baked beans because I didn't have I didn't have like 2 cans the same size. So you use whatever you have. I'm just using 1 big can, whatever baked beans you like. This is just regular. This one's Bush's country style baked bean. Kind of cute. In fact, we live sort of near. It's a couple of hours, well, maybe about 1.5 hours away from the Bush's bean factory. Never been. I'd like to do that one day. I think that'd be kind of cool. You can tour it. It's near Gatlinburg, if you know where Gatlinburg, Tennessee is, which we live near the Smoky Mountains. We're about 1 hour and 45 minutes or so from Pigeon Forge. Gatlinburg, a couple of hours. All right, this one is Bush's just grilling beans, steakhouse recipe. You just use whatever kind you like. This is just what I had on hand. This is one of those recipes that you can just look at your pantry, your food storage, and see what you've got and use it. Then I have one of my favorite ingredients, which is fire roasted diced tomatoes. The recipe just calls for diced tomatoes, but I really like fire roasted. It does add an extra layer of flavor to whatever it is you're cooking. Let me get that off there. And oops, add those in. They come out a little easier. And then just stir it all together. Oh, look at that beautiful pot of chili. I love, 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 love chili. I eat it year-round. I have several different recipes that I make. I make a black bean chili. I make a white bean chicken chili. This is a barbecue bean chili. And then I make just regular chili with no beans. I like beans in my chili, but I do make one that doesn't have any beans in it. It just has lots of meat. This is so good, and you could totally serve this on its own with some cornbread and top it with some cheddar cheese if you wanted. But it's also good. I know it sounds weird. Have you ever tried, well, Cincinnati spaghetti has you make chili, not this recipe, but a little bit of a different recipe, but you could totally do this with this over top of cooked spaghetti noodles, drained cooked spaghetti noodles. If you've never tried that, try it. It's really good. You could also serve this over a baked potato and make a whole meal out of just that, chili and baked potato, which for me is one of those things, if I can't think what I want to eat, that is something that will always satisfy my appetite. This is one of those recipes that I make and I can it. You could make this recipe and then I do it in pint-sized jars, or you could do it in quart, depending, and put the hot chili in there after you cook it, and then do it in a water bath to seal it, or you can pressure can it different ways. We're not going to get into that on this program, but this is one of those recipes, really, any kind of chili. This is a great, great thing to make and can. You could also freeze if you have leftovers. You could freeze the remaining chili in, just your single size little containers like this that have the lid. You just want to make sure you leave about an inch or so of headspace in there because it will expand as it freezes. Great thing to make the whole recipe, even if it's just one or two of you eating, and then freeze the rest or can it up, whatever you want to do, and then you've got another meal ready to go. So we're just going to cover this. We're going to turn it down to low, and we're going to let it simmer for about 25 minutes or so, and it's going to be delicious. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to clean up my mess, and when I come back, we are going to get started on dessert because life is short. You got to eat dessert. So I'll be back in just a minute. All right, now we are going to make what I call chocolate beggar purses. These are so good. You will need some puff pastry, which comes in the freezer department in a box like this. You'll have 2 sheets per box. It is frozen. You need to let it thaw, a couple of hours on the counter or in the refrigerator overnight because you can't work with this stuff until it's thawed. It will come like this, and all you need to do is unfold it and then take a little bit of flour, not too much, and we're going to take our rolling pin. I like to put a little bit on my rolling pin, and we're not stretching this, but we are going to kind of reinforce those seams where it was folded, and then we're going to take our knife and we're going to cut it into 4 squares. You get 2 sheets, so this will make 8 of these. And then separate them. We're going to take a little bit of, I'm using walnuts, but you could use pecans, you could use almond, whatever kind of nut you like. Put a few nuts in the center, and then a few chocolate chips. These are just semi-sweet chocolate chips. Again, use whatever flavor you like. And then you want to start on the opposite corners and bring them up just like that. You're making a little package. And then you're going to take your corners. You're going to seal the corners just like this. And then you're going to take, you see how it's just like a little triangle, not a triangle, but a little square, like a pyramid type thing, I guess. You're going to twist the top of that to seal it together. You do want this all sealed up on those corners. And then we're going to place it on our baking sheet. Let's do another one. Again, whatever kind of nut you like. A little bit of chocolate chip of your choice. I mean, chocolate. Who need I say more? I like to start with the corners and then bring up, or opposite corners, and then bring up the other corner. Whoops, chocolate escaped. Now, if you cannot find puff pastry, which it is in the freezer department where you get like Cool Whip and stuff like that. If you don't want to use puff pastry, you can use pie dough, but it won't be as flaky. Puff pastry, if you've never had puff pastry, each one of these little squares, it's probably what, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch thick or so. There are so many layers. What they do is they make the dough, then they put a slab of butter on it, turn it, roll it out again, more butter, turn it, roll it out. It's amazing to watch somebody make puff pastry. To me, it's not worth the labor. I just assume buy it, but it's so good. And I like to just twist that top and create like a little purse. That's exactly what we're doing. But again, if you don't want to use puff pastry for whatever reason, you could use a pie, like the refrigerated pie dough, or you could make your own for that matter. Pie dough is easy to make. Puff pastry's not. And then just cut it, into squares just like this. But you do, what you like. You could also do this recipe. Now, it wouldn't be an enclosed type of package like this, but you can buy in the freezer department right beside that will be these little tiny cups. Sometimes they're puff pastry, sometimes they are pie dough. Either one will work. And then just fill it with your chocolate and your nuts, bake it, and then top it like we're going to. It won't be an enclosed thing, but it's like a little tart. Those are good too. That would be this would be a great little recipe for springtime, for Easter, or Mother's Day or something like that. Or just, whenever you want to make it would be fine. I'm just going to keep making these. I'm going to roll out that next, whoops, that's too much. I tend to overfill. Don't overfill. Don't do what I do. Then it escapes out. That's why I have my sheet lined with a nonstick aluminum foil, because if it comes apart, and it very well may, and that's okay, you don't have a mess to clean up. You can just, throw away your aluminum foil. I've said this, I don't know how many times on this program, but the nonstick aluminum foil is one of the best things I think that's been invented in a long time. I'm just going to keep rolling these up. Then I'm going to pop them, not doing anything else. I'm just going to pop them in a 425-degree oven for about 8 minutes or so. And then I'll show you how to finish these up, because this is not the end product. This is just the beginning. So I'm just going to roll this out, make these, pop them in the oven, and when I come back, I'll show you how to finish these up and serve up the meal. I'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty, now everything is cooked. These are our cute little beggar purses. I just took those out of the oven, and I'll show you how to finish those up. This is the cornbread. I just took it out of the pan, and I let it cool just a minute. Now I'm cutting it into squares, and oh, it smells so good. I love cornbread. Look how beautiful and moist and yummy. And there's our chili. So we're just going to serve that alongside our wonderful little plate of chili there. Now, let me show you how to finish these up. Aren't they just as cute as can be? They're just little beggar purses, little coin purses, if you will. What I would do is, I like raspberries, and if you've never had raspberries with chocolate, you are in for a treat. So I'm choosing to use raspberries, but you could use blackberries, you could use blueberries, strawberries, or a mixture, whatever you want. And this is some powdered sugar, and I found this little duster. I don't use powdered sugar a lot, but what you do is you pull that back and you get you a scoop of it, and then look how cute. And it just, you can just dust over your little beggar purse. And it just, you just have to pull this little lever back and it fills it right up. Just put it down in there, close it, and you got your perfect little sifter. I just like doing it. I think it's cute. And then I'm going to use some raspberries just all over the plate, if I can keep them on the plate. If you wanted to serve this with some ice cream, oh, that would be so good. You could serve that with some vanilla ice cream or chocolate ice cream or whatever kind of ice cream you like. This is so good, and you could totally mix it up however you like. Here's our wonderful, easy barbecue bean chili, our delicious twice the cornbread, and our wonderful chocolate and nut beggar purses. I used walnuts and semi-sweet chocolate, but you can use whatever kind of nut, whatever kind of chocolate that you like. It's up to you. Completely customizable. Thank you for joining with me. Try these and let me know what you think, and I will see you next time on Everyday Manna.